Welcome to Beyond Business, a show where we look at the latest ideas and trends shaping the global economy. Now, more and more, the private sector is entering the humanitarian field, flipping the conventional model on how to make a buck. They say you can do good and be profitable while doing so. French giant Danone, one of the world's biggest food manufacturers, is promoting sustainable agriculture. It's teamed up with other multinationals by starting the Livelihood Investment Fund. The fund has three admirable goals: increase farmers' incomes, improve their families' quality of life, and promote environmentally friendly practices. Our reporters have the story.
A small team and an easygoing atmosphere. This isn't some new startup, but one of the world's leading food corporations, Danone. In this department, however, employees don't sell yogurt, they try to make the world a better place. Danone is now protecting the environment thanks to Livelihoods, an investment fund set on preserving biodiversity while helping local communities. In Guatemala, they've invested 2.5 million euros to save the Sangil mountain, which is slowly losing ground to farmers.
Communities are chipping away at the forest covering this big mountain. If we don't do anything, it's very simple. On one hand, we have increasingly poor and desperate farmers, and on the other, we're losing an exceptional wealth that is biodiversity.
To save this natural wealth, Livelihoods works closely with a local NGO. Their goal is to plant 5 million trees and other plants. They say the project could increase the income of about 12,000 farmers.
This approach makes it possible not to deplete natural resources, because some of these trees can also be used as fodder. Others are leguminous plants, which means that their roots have little nodules that trap nitrogen present in the air.
Root nodules are key. They're the reason Livelihoods can guarantee their members a return on investment. Companies are not doing this out of pure generosity. By planting trees, Danone and other corporations earn carbon credits that compensate for whatever pollution they create.
This fund allows us to stock carbon with these rural communities. These carbon credits, hectares of carbon stocked in trees, are then transformed into credits certified by independent experts. And then we can redistribute the carbon credits to companies.
Livelihoods may have found the key to a bright future for environmental efforts, making money by saving the planet.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined today by our guest, Joanne Kuhn. Joanne, thank you for being here. Now, you come from a perspective that maybe our viewers might be more familiar with, sort of the NGO side of things. When you see this report that we just saw about big corporations, multinationals trying to change the world, trying to make it better, what is your reaction to that story?
For example, looking at the precise example of Danone, which is only an example, I would say that yes, for big food companies like Danone spend their time deforesting by one side of the world, and then they save the forest or spill small pieces of forest in another part of the world. And so concretely, in that other part of the world, they tell the local people, you shouldn't cut trees, because we can in Africa, for example, to plant transgenic soya, for example.
Right. So one step forward, one step back, but is this better than the way things were before, when it might have only been one step back?
I'm not sure it's better, because, for example, in the example we just saw, you have at the end the carbon credits. So Danone will earn a lot of money by selling those authorization to go on polluting instead of stopping the pollution. Mm-hmm. Is that better? It's a new business.
So perhaps they shouldn't be as congratulated as you might be saying, and maybe a little bit more cynicism for the works they're trying to do. Well, let's take a look now at our second report. It's not just big multinationals who are trying to change the world, but people all over are teaming up. The NGO Ashoka claims to be the largest network worldwide of so-called social entrepreneurs, pairing the business skill set with a social outlook. And there are no easy solutions when it comes to saving the world, but there are no cheap ones either. So could the private sector be the answer?
Every Tuesday, this famous Paris theater turns into a pop-up market. Eggs, organic bread, and all kinds of fresh produce, everything here was pre-ordered online. The goal is to facilitate direct contact between farmers and customers, creating more efficient local food distribution.
It allows agriculture to reinvent itself, to bring back quality and proximity with the people, to improve their diet. And when you buy this produce, it helps the farmer make a decent living and keep producing. It creates a cycle.
La Ruche qui dit oui, known in English as the Food Assembly, was launched in France 4 years ago and now has 77 employees working in 5 European countries.
What matters is to carry out our mission, not to give out dividends to shareholders. Our obsession is supporting this agriculture so that it works well.
In 2014, the Food Assembly made 2 million euros in revenue. With its help, farmers sold 25 million euros worth of produce.
It's better for the farmers. The vegetables are better. I'd rather have this proximity to avoid long distances.
We're helping the farmers. We can meet them, talk to them, and on top of that, it's all fresh and seasonal produce.
This building is associated with big money. It used to house Paris's stock exchange. This is where the Food Assembly found help in 2010 through Ashoka, the leading global network of social entrepreneurs. Their mantra, using big business to make society better.
There's a way to solve many of society's problems through an economic system which can sustain the actions we set up on the ground.
Ashoka has a network of 3,000 social entrepreneurs across 80 countries. There are 15 of them here in France, and they have a 2 million euro budget to give advice, coach, and even fund new projects.
We should neither demonize the business world nor idolize NGOs. At some point, we have to all get together and find shared solutions.
Shared solutions that all lead to the same place, the market economy.
Well, Joanne, when we saw that report, there's one phrase that was kind of interesting: using business to make the world a better place. How do you feel when you see that story?
I feel like it is a very interesting and democratic question. I mean, maybe if we ask the question in terms of rights, it will be difficult to consider that only business will be able to guarantee all the human rights which are recognized by
only governments would be able to sort of respect these sort of human rights?
Well, I'm not sure only governments. The idea is just to start a debate about that question. Will companies and will business be able to guarantee the rights? Because are all rights profitable? Mm-hmm. This is not sure.
All right, so these businesses are going into certain areas, they're having certain new powers, new responsibilities, but who's going to supervise them when they're making these sort of effects?
Yes, exactly. And who will prevent them to go only or to select only the people which can be profitable, the problems which can be profitable? So who will take care of the other ones? And concretely, how the hell did those companies get that much money? Mm-hmm. It's through tax avoidance.
Now, you come from the NGO perspective, and the same sort of cynicism could be thrown at your side. Who can enforce the NGOs? Who can make sure that they are respecting the human rights as well? Now, we've heard some stories sometimes of financial misuse of funds. Now, how do you defend the NGOs who have the same sort of ability to abuse their power?
You know, NGOs, just as well as companies, are made by people, normal people. There are good ones and bad ones, and even big companies are full of very good, willing people. So that's not, I cannot guarantee that any NGO is doing good. So everybody is needed to be vigilant, to remain vigilant about what is doing everybody. But the final aim of an association, organization, or NGO is not to make money. So this would be the great difference between a big company and an NGO.
Is this an inherent sort of conflict of interest, that dividing line between an NGO whose profits will go back to funding the mission statement versus a private sector company who's interested in profiting? Can they really say they're out there doing good if what they are at the end of the day is a company that needs to make a profit?
Exactly. That would be my question as well. how can we make sure that companies which first aim is to make profit for their shareholders can guarantee the human rights in case they are not profitable?
Do you think down the road...
This is my question. I think it's complicated to answer.
Could down the road these sort of private sector companies become direct competitors with NGOs and threaten the livelihood of these NGOs?
Yes, maybe at the end this can happen, but what big companies are doing right now with their super communication is just trying to make the business thinking inside the social area. And since once we start thinking in terms of business, and we think it's normal to think in terms of business, then we think it's normal that competition comes to NGOs and organizations playing field. So it means that every NGO will be fighting to one another to get the money, and so they will not be looking anymore at the real needs, but they will looking for the funds.
Okay, well, that's about all we have time for today. Joanne, thank you again for being our guest today.
Thank you for inviting
and thanks
us.
to you for watching. Join us again on the next edition of Beyond Business.